what it was. I should wrote
There's
it down.
there's a chemical in cranberries, bananas, and almonds. I don't know what it is.
Yes,
but
it was almonds. I
something
remember because I have multiple bags of almonds. I should try this tonight. I'm gonna write it down this time.
Yeah, we call it bananas before bed, triple B, and it really works. You remember your dreams. They're more vivid and they're more crazy, and they do not inspire any of my artwork.
The dreams.
Yeah, I don't know if people really do that.
I think some people. I mean, I don't think your stuff really lends to that as much. I mean, dreams are typically very narrative and kind of like real life.
Yeah,
they're usually not abstract.
Right.
I mean, if anything, they're surreal. Like Dali type stuff or Magritte or something. But
so I was messaging somebody on Instagram the other day. They were asking me about my work, and I forget I can pull up what the first question they asked me was, but the second was, is your work more coming from a place of emotion or logic? And that's what I think I have a really difficult time with. I think I've somehow, I don't know if it was through architecture school or just this base tendency of being left-brained, but I cannot escape the logic and the calculation of any of my work. And it's so weird because I wrote this thing down, I'm looking at it on the wall now, that I really felt. This is coming from a place of pure emotion. Maybe my text work is coming from emotion. It's I definitely feel that. I paint with lust, I paint with rage, I paint with peace, I paint with clarity, I paint with intention, I paint with energy, I paint with care, I paint with reckless abandon. And I wrote that, and it's funny because I was feeling all those things when I wrote it, but I'm not sure if, sometimes those things are there when I'm painting, but there's this weird detachment between emotion and logic where it's no matter what I'm feeling, the thing that I'm conveying is somehow there's a severance, and it's only coming from a place of logic. So I could never be one of those people that paints from experience, paints from emotion, paints from a dream, or I think that's kind of what I'm trying to do. Is I'm trying to.
You're trying to get to that place.
I'm trying to find that little light of emotion in this tunnel of logic.
Yeah. Well, so for instance, when you make a decision about where to put a brushstroke, where does that decision come from? Take me through that decision making process.
Well, so this is, I think, the problem with, and this one that we're looking at on the wall here is a very recent example of one of the rare, first time in a long time that I painted wet on wet paint. And the problem with doing, which I pretty much always do, I always paint on a dry surface. I wait for the paint to dry. Is I'm only doing, my actual working time is only 30 seconds, a minute of whatever I'm slapping on there, and then it's done. And I'm now in this limbo of waiting for it to dry for 6 hours. And so that kind of really stunts any opportunity for emotion or intuitive iteration to eke into the process. Right. And I got frustrated with that because I'm I want to get into the flow state. You know, I want to have this moment where I'm absorbed in the work. And when you're painting logically and you're painting one step at a time and you're waiting for paint to dry, you literally only have time to be okay, I'm standing 10 feet away from it. What is the next move?
Yeah.
What am I going to do? And then you decide it, and then you do it, and 30 seconds later, it's done, and you're waiting again.
Right, yeah. For another hour and a half or something. Yeah.
So I've been doing that for a while, and I kind of got a little bit... So that's usually kind of, to answer your question, that's usually kind of how it goes. And
so you spend a lot of time kind of analyzing from afar, waiting for it to dry, and then you go in and do it.
Yeah, but a very kind of half-assed analyzing. I'm not literally sitting there with my knuckles on my forehead, looking at it, studying. I'll do that for maybe a minute.
Well, I remember, in the past, we've talked about how the decisions you make, you kind of look at something, have an intuitive feeling about where a mark might want to go or something, and then I think you said you try to choose like the next one or like something that you wouldn't normally choose to do or something. Do you still do that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I was doing that for a while with the shapes.
Yeah.
We're getting into something that I really wanted to talk about is like this transition between like, and this is when I first started painting. I think the way I would categorize all of my paintings is this category called exercises in composition, which basically is just make a bunch of marks, take a step back, look at them, react to them with another set of marks. And it's this constant like training of like, how do I, what achieves balance, what disrupts the balance, what are my tendencies to react to this kind of situation. And I think honestly, like when I'm looking at other artists' work and I see that that's what's happening, I get pretty tired of it pretty quick. Exercises in composition to me are boring.
Can you give me an example?
No, I wouldn't name any names because
Sure.
I think they're all probably just bad artists.
Got you. But,
I don't know if it's any that are like big artists that I'm like, that's
Okay.
an exercise in composition.
Got you. You're thinking about like people who are like
No
contemporary
name,
people.
Yeah,
Got you.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Got you.
Yeah, and then like listening like
Do you
Tom.
have any you could just show me? You don't have to name them, but
Maybe
I'm just
Yeah,
curious.
no, 100%. I have some I can show you.
Yeah.
And there's this guy, Tom Joyce, who was talking about how all the best abstract art, a lot of the abstract, he was talking about Diebenkorn. He was talking about your guy Diebenkorn, about how he actually pulls a ton from landscapes.
Yes.
Like aerial
Yeah.
view, farm, road, how land is divided.
Yeah.
Which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
Like you need something kind of pushing on it. Okay, yeah, I'm pulling it up.
Yeah. It's interesting because
Don't read the name of the artist.
I won't. Yeah. It's I found it interesting because there's
any of this stuff on this page.
there's a lot of stuff that I would put in a category of like minimalism or stuff that is very, very composition heavy. Like I think of the first one that comes to mind is like some of Kandinsky's stuff. He's got some stuff that's very minimalist. I don't know if he has much, but there's one I think it's called like curve to a point or something like that. And it's like 3 or 4 marks. And
Yeah.
it's like hard edge stuff. It's very simple, but it's like one of my favorite paintings or drawings. I'm not sure what it is, but
Which painting is that?
I want to say it's like free curve to a point or something. I can look that up after, but
Okay.
I just found that interesting. It's very composition heavy, and I liked it. Okay, so you're saying this is like composition heavy type stuff. This to me is not even composition. What this reminds
there's less
me of,
composition here. Yeah.
yeah, what this reminds me of is kind of like almost like all over painting, kind of.
Right.
It's very like textural and like almost like what would you say, like tapestry type vibe. It's like it's almost like it reminds me of like a material in the sense that like marble or granite has this kind of like homogeneous chaos to it.
Yes, exactly.
You know, which sometimes is cool, but
that's the thing is like you see some stuff like
it's
that,
not cool.
the homogenous stuff that somehow, and maybe it's still contemporary artists, but makes it big, and you're like
makes it big. Oh, you mean
like
successful? Like Pollock or something.
yeah. And I'm just like looking at it like, what annoys me about that stuff is I feel like it is often coming from a place of experimentation where they're like, let's see what happens when I light it on fire. Let's see what happens when I cut it up and rip it away and then glue something else on. And it's just like, oh, and then now it looks cool. Like that just let's see what happens when we experiment with these materials to me is not exciting enough. It's not enough of like an investigation.
For you as an artist, you mean?
Yeah.
Or as a viewer? Or both?
Both, I think. I don't know. Okay, I want to talk about how I started, how I broke away from exercises in composition to start what I considered, what was my first painting as an educated artist.
Mhm.
And it came at the end of architecture school, where by this time I had interest in and knowledge of proportion in terms of like the scale of the human body in relationship to the materials of the built environment. And this is conveyed to us in architecture school through like bricks and thresholds, windows, door handles, any building material that somehow acknowledges the scale of a person. And coming from that, I came back to painting with this new interest in not just working big for big's sake, but working in a way that somehow, like a building does, communicate to the scale of a person. And not only was scale a thing, but so was like material. Like, what is the nature of paint?
Mhm.
In architecture school, we learned, you just kind of have to deal with like the nature of materials, the properties of materials. Like, for example, like if you had no idea what building materials were, how to make anything, and I gave you like a bunch of bricks and I said, make a wall, you would not stack those bricks on the small end. You would lay them down flat. And that's just an intuitive property, an intuitive part of the nature of a brick, is they want to lay on the long side and be stacked. Right. And in learning that in school, I really wanted to come back to painting and think like, what is the nature of paint and applying paint with a brush, and how can I attack that in a way that is like purely about the essence of the materials. Yeah. And so when I started this first painting, this is kind of what I'm getting at with like the experimenting, is like I couldn't just start slapping paint on the canvas. I still needed some sort of structure, and basically I found like subject matter. I started finding, I guess, what I would call like excuses to paint. It's like, okay, I have an idea for a composition, for an image, for an emotion that I'm trying to convey. I'd be talking to somebody, and like our conversation I would all of a sudden be having images in my head of like geometry and relations of these geometries. Yeah. And I was
Does
like,
that
okay.
still happen?
Not as much. I think I kind of turned it off because I'm not interested in it as much anymore.
That's so interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's just not as interesting to me now. But before, I needed it because I needed an excuse to start messing around with how to put paint on a canvas. Yeah. And so that's where I started. And that's what my first series of 12 or 13 paintings was, all finding an excuse, an idea, a subject, whatever, and using that as a vehicle for beginning to study how does the brush want to put paint on a canvas, right, in ways that relate to the nature of the brush, the nature of the paint, and the scale of the human body. So those are the extra layers that I feel like, and maybe it's just because I haven't heard the artists talk about it, but when I see these just like exercises in not only composition, but just experimentation of materials, I'm like, but to what end? What are you actually studying other than just, is it this task to make something that you think looks cool, or you're just having fun experimenting with these materials? I don't know. I don't know how you feel about that, because yeah, I don't know. What do you think about? Because I know you come at paintings from a different, more intuitive, maybe. I don't know.
I think so, maybe. I definitely skew more towards the, not intentionally, but I definitely do skew more towards the experimentation side, kind of because of what we were talking about earlier of the, like, oh, here's a good idea, like kind of, it can be good. It can also be my downfall. But anyway, yeah, I think I skew a little bit more towards that as opposed to the like intentional exploration of one technique or one process or something like that. And I think I my interest in art, I think in general, is more about the end product than about the like my involvement in it in particular. Like a lot of artists, I know like a lot of music people I know personally like relate to their music in a way where it's like it's a way for them to get their emotions out. And I feel like I've tried to do that with music, and it doesn't. Maybe I'm just not as linguistically intelligent or something or skilled, but it never feels right to me. And I've always really liked instrumental music, which is, I think, certainly less inherently like emotional than something which is written with words that are emotional. I think. I don't know. Of course, you can make very emotional instrumental music, like you can listen to some Dvorak or something, and it's very pretty. But yeah, I guess I kind of went on a tangent. But I think I'm much more interested in the end product as opposed to how I am involved in the process of making it. So like the exploration side of it, or like me like learning something is kind of like for me a secondary byproduct of just pursuing making something that looks good or feels good or sounds good, and really like something that feels transcendent, that can give someone kind of that experience we've talked about of like, I guess, yeah, transcendence really, I guess, is the best word to use.
But everything to get to that point of transcendence is a chore.
What do you mean? Oh, like in my process? That's
yeah. It's
I mean, it's...
The joy doesn't come until the end, and the whole time is just like trying to like... It's like you're digging for gold.
I think
is that what you're doing?
I think that's a really good way to put it. It's because there is that kind of that dopamine thing. I mean, dopamine is like the chemical of pursuit. It's like the chemical of motivation, and I think that's kind of what I'm getting hit with as I'm like pursue, especially when I see a path towards a thing. If I see there's like a potential for a thing, right?
Yeah.
And like me making brushstrokes or doing whatever is like getting me closer to that end. Digging for gold, I think, is a really good analogy.
Yeah.
It's like I can see the gold nugget or whatever, and I'm like excavating
the
it or
top
something.
of the treasure chest.
Yeah,
right?
something
you hit
like
it.
that.
You can like you're knocking on the top of it.
Exactly.
Whoa.
Yeah. That's funny. It's a really good way to put it.
See, mine is like more like I'm running a 5K or a marathon, and I'm feeling like that runner's high, and I'm kind of like, yeah, it's tough work. I'm sweating, I'm breathing hard, but I'm like, my body's feeling that little bit of like euphoria of like being in the thick of it. Like I still think about this. Like I dream about a day that I'm no longer able to run. That day's gonna come. And when I run now, it's like, how euphoric is it to feel the weight of my body and my feet slapping on the pavement? Euphoria.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And so you have that when you're running, and then you get to the end of the race, you huff and puff, and you're like, you still have that kind of feeling of like, I finished the race.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I would describe like my pursuit of painting. It's not the digging for treasure, it's the runner's high.
You feel more rewarded by the actual doing of the thing.
Yeah.
That's what you're aiming at.
I'm aiming for those every moment. I don't even really care as much. It's nice to arrive at the final product, but it's more those nights, especially like when I'm, drinking and getting into the flow of it, and I'm up late and the world's asleep, and it's just me in the studio, and I have the music on, and I get caught up in whatever I'm doing, and then I finish it. And I've got work in 6 hours, so I shouldn't be up this late, but I am. And I finish, and I set the brush down, and I'm kind of drunk, and I sit down, and I look at what's on the wall, and I'm surprised by it. I'm like, how did that get there? It wasn't there when I walked in. I couldn't have planned to make that. If I had that image in my head before, and like I couldn't have done it like that. And yet here I am sitting looking at it, and the only explanation for it getting there is me doing it.
Yeah.
That does not happen every night that I paint. But the nights that happens, and I'm sitting there in that moment, and I stay up that even 30 minutes more, I'll sit for 30 minutes or an hour just trying to comprehend what the hell I've just done. That is the moment that I live for.
Whoa, that's cool.
Painting. Yeah.
That's so interesting.
That's
so
it.
It's kind of, it's like the surprise that something came from you that you didn't know could.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
I couldn't have planned it.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah.
That's what's fun about paint, I think, is like, I mean, some people have like incredible control of paint.
Right.
And that's just I'm not even concerned with that, because I think I'm a perfectionist, I guess, and I'm not very skilled. So if I try,
oh my God, that's like one of the reasons I don't do like representational stuff.
It's the proportional,
it's like the reason maybe, yeah.
It's the proportional relationship between how skilled I am and how much of a perfectionist I am. It's like they're so out of whack that it's like I can't even try.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't even.
So funny.
I just kind of, and it's this, I give up and I throw it, and really, architecture school, which I went through, trains you to look at every single flaw, mistake, thing that's out of place. It's literally
very, like,
OCD in training.
Yeah.
It's like learn how to fuck up your brain to be OCD.
Yeah.
And then you come out of it and you're looking at everything and you're like, holy shit, I'm like obsessing over all these little things I used to never obsess over. And so another thing I've really like that painting has given me that I've leaned into is that lack of control, where it's like if I try to do something perfectly and I make one mistake, I'm going to fixate on that mistake. But if I make a million mistakes,
and
if
all
I'm
blend
in a
together.
room that's a total mess, I can't. What am I going to do? Pick up that pencil or put that piece of paper away or something? I don't even know where to start. I look at the image and I'm like, well, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. So eventually it's like I can't even fixate anywhere, and it kind of. Another one of Jenny Holzer's truisms is disorganization is a kind of anesthetic. Disorganization is a kind of anesthetic, and I've kind of leaned into that, like, okay, because I was like a neat freak for a while.
Yeah.
Like, everything's got to be in order and tight and whatever, and now it's like it becomes overwhelming when you try to keep everything neat and in place. So why not just let it all kind of go to shit and just bask in it?
I feel like that might be different for different people, though, because I think some people are more sensitive to that maybe than others. I mean, I'm curious, like, what's her like theory on that?
I don't know anything about the theory.
Oh, okay.
So
it's just like a quote or something.
Yeah,
of hers or something. I gotcha. Okay.
Jenny Holzer has this list of truisms.
Okay.
Which I read for the first time I was in New York visiting family, and one of my older cousins we went and visited Columbia and sat in on this like neurosurgery lecture.
I think you mentioned this a while ago.
Yeah. It was like, I was like, what the hell am I even doing here? But my favorite, but it's actually one of the best things I ever did was go on that little adventure, because on Columbia's campus, I think maybe scattered throughout, but we saw one of the marble benches that had Jenny Holzer's truisms engraved in it. And I'm looking at this one. I don't even know why I read it, because it's like the words aren't even that legible.
Yeah.
But I looked at it and it said, stupid people shouldn't breed. And I was like, what the hell? That's on a bench in a park?
Bold statement.
Right.
Wow.
So like, what the? All right. So of course I read more.
After that, you got to find out more. Yeah.
An elite is inevitable.
What is it?
An elite.
An elite.
Elite. Yes, like an elite class of people.
I see. Okay,
is inevitable.
I see.
That's another one of them. Disorganization is a kind of anesthetic. So it's this, and she didn't come up with all of them. I think she kind of handpicked them from different places, but it's this list of like 150 lines, Jenny Holzer truisms, that are just so direct and calloused and provocative.
Yeah.
And I have them all over my studio.
Yeah.
And it's one of those ways that I kind of feed into the mess is I printed them all out. I typed them all out, printed them all out, and put them on these pieces of paper and like just scattered them throughout
You
my
just
studio.
throw them around, like, on the floor.
Yeah,
Oh,
and like you
that's cool.
can see now, like they're up on the walls, they're on the
Yeah.
floor, like they're just.
So
and I'll
that's
just,
what
like,
a lot of those typed out things. That's what they are.
the white ones. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know that.
And like there's paint
I
on
see-
some of
yeah, I
them.
see there's one on the
It'll be on the
floor.
floor and then it'll be
Yeah.
taped back up, and it's just like this kind of relationship where, like, you know, if I'm in the middle of working and, you know, drinking whatever, all of a sudden I'll like step on one and I'm like, okay, this is a moment where I have to like look at it.
Yeah.
And, you know,
That's one thing that I really like appreciate and find very interesting about your process and way of working is, like, it feels like you've like engineered a space to I think you've engineered a space in a really, like, what feels to me like a unique kind of self-sourced kind of way. Like I wouldn't think to do that, I guess.
Yeah.
Or I don't know who would think to like type out a bunch of these quotes and scatter them around in a way that you're forced to be confronted with them and let that inspire you. But like I find that very interesting. It's kind of a tangent.
I think
but
I got that
that's
from Basquiat.
yeah.
So I think basically, and I have this on one of my Instagram posts where I have taken processes. I mean, that thing I was talking about being surprised about what I'm looking at,
Yeah.
that's from Philip Guston.
Oh, okay.
Philip Guston talks about that same exact thing that I said, and says it in a very similar way. And the chaos and the mess comes from Basquiat and his way of like walking on the canvases,
Yeah.
having books. He would have open books on the floor. He'd have the
gotcha.
radio on. He'd have the TV on, and it's just
A lot of messaging going on.
Yes, everything. Like this total just
Wow.
like over influx of information that he's filtering
Yeah.
through. And I can't filter through it as fast as him, but it's this idea of like what do you call it? It's like when you make I can't think of the word, but like when you make like a chicken salad, and you put like salt in it and the mayonnaise. Oh, congeal. That's
Okay.
the word. So the ideas and the words and the paint and all the materials in the studio have to congeal. And in order to give them, you know, and like the salt. So basically it's like this idea of like when you make a chicken salad or something, like you mix all the stuff in together and it's not going to taste as good if you eat it immediately. And other food is like this too. You have to like put it in the refrigerator and let it sit for like a day.
Sure.
And some weird chemical thing happens where like all of a sudden the stuff actually combines.
Yeah, the flavors mix and
And
stuff.
it tastes amazing all of
Yeah,
a sudden,
yeah.
like lasagna or whatever, you know? So it's like that kind of needs to happen in the studio where it's like everything just needs to be, you can't predict how it's all going to come together, but you just need to spit it all out and be confronted with it, like you said, and then at some point you'll know when the time is to incorporate it into the work. Or you don't even know what the work is. I mean, I went to this show at the Italian museum, the Magazzano Museum in upstate New York, Magazzino Italian Museum, beautiful architecture. And there was this show of an Italian painter named it's either Marco Scafano or Mario Scafano, and he had one of these in the same kind of architectural way that I will, like, you know, you plan and you sketch and you do like iterations of the thing before you actually make the real product.
Yeah.
He had one of these, like, it looked like and it was like a torn off piece of paper sketch of an idea for a painting or something that he had probably on the floor in his studio. And then it was like put in a frame and hung on the wall as a piece of art. And that just blew my mind. And so on my wall right now in my studio, I have the products are residue of the process. And it's this kind of idea that, like, who's to say what the art is and what the art isn't? You know, it's all should be, I don't think that the image that you end up selling or stretching or framing, whatever, should maybe even start as being intended to be that way. It's just like a residue of like, I'm in this space, I'm thinking and working and slapping stuff around, and it's like an estate sale and you can come in and take something or buy it if you want, but it wasn't intended to be like part of commerce. Art should definitely be separated from this idea of commerce.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a whole rabbit hole I could get into.
I know. That's not where I was trying to go with that. It's
Yeah.
It's just, but like it shouldn't. I don't like the idea necessarily of like I said, the products are residue of the process. When you're holding your breath and you have this like preconceived idea of what this image should be and you're just aiming at it and you're just being so nitpicky, I think the soul of it is lost.
Oh my God, man, I've been there,
right?
dude. Ooh, I've been there.
It's the ego, though. It's the ego.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's like this. I mean, part of it is, skill issue, I guess you could say. I mean, for me at least, and I know there's been some points where like I've had some vision for I want something to turn out some way, and I try to force it, and I end up like editing it to death into this like, just like lifeless like thing that like.
Right, the soul's gone.
Yeah, I mean the soul's gone. I basically have to just like restart because it's like I've. Like done a really bad taxidermy or something.
Exactly.
It's just like all the features are like wrong and like the curves aren't natural anymore or whatever. It's like it's all effed up. Yeah, man, I've done that.
It's so easy to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at everything and I'm like, how do I not kill it? How do I like get rid of my ego and whatever ambitions I have for this thing that like I think is good right now, or maybe it's on its way to being something good. But if I get too wrapped up in what I think it should be, instead of asking what it wants to be, then I'm going to kill it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a hard thing. I mean, I haven't painted in forever, but I still struggle with that. Like, I mean, thinking back to the recent times that I have painted or that I've done.
Can you kill a song?
Stuff.
Does that relate to music?
Yeah. I mean, I remember. So when I was working on the Dad song, the best thing we did for that was we put a deadline on when we're going to release it. But basically what happened was we put a deadline on it, we released it, and I didn't even listen to it before we uploaded it.
Nice.
Because I was like, I knew that if I listened to it, I'd be like, dude, just give me like another day. Because like I hear this, I got to fix this, X, Y, Z, whatever. And so anyway, I didn't listen to it, we uploaded it, and then it was supposed to drop like 2 weeks later or something, right? And so it dropped. I remember I was in my studio in the basement, in the garage, painting or working on something. I was waiting for it to be midnight for it to drop. And it came out and I turned it on. And I was like, immediately, it's too quiet. Like it wasn't like normalized properly, or part of it was too loud. So the rest had to be too quiet, whatever.
Right.
And I listened through it and I had like so many notes. I'm like, this was wrong. And so after that, I went into like a frenzy of, the next like, probably a week or so, re-editing like the final mix that I'd done to try to make it better. Mm-hmm. And I still have a session somewhere on my computer of all the different exports I did. I probably had like 8 or 10 or 12 exports of like final mixes.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, and basically like I got to the last one and I was like, this is like, it's still missing something, right? So I went back to the previous ones and it was better.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Hell yeah.
God damn it, dude.
Hell yeah.
And like, there's anecdotes like that from, I think there's like a Quincy Jones, maybe anecdote or something. Or maybe it's Stevie Wonder, something. But yeah, I mean, like that's an example. Like I edited it to death. Like I took out all the punch and energy of the drums.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, totally. I mean, you can totally. It's the over mixing kind of thing.
So I'm going to rip a piece of advice from Rick Rubin here as a way to kind of like, which I don't even know if I've been taking this advice recently, but it's a way to break out of that. And Rick said, you got to treat the creation of art like a diary entry.
Yeah.
In the sense that it's all it is a reflection of who you are and what you were thinking and what you were doing at a particular moment in time.
Yeah.
So there's not like, you can't look at a painting you did 2 years ago and be like, oh, that needs to change, and then make the change. Like it's not touchable at that point. It's not accessible anymore because or else it's an entirely different thing if you want to kill it and make it who you are now. But it is a reflection of who you were at that certain point in time. So that can kind of be like, I don't know if I struggle with that with these, but I'm kind of aware as I have these paintings on the wall, like of the lifespan of them. And it's like if you let them sit too long, if I go on a vacation or I get caught up with work or friends or whatever for too long, it's like at what point does the life, what is this? It's like a scientific, like half-life. It's got like half-lives, or it's like, it's changing and it's becoming, so at some point.
Like it doesn't relate to its origin as much anymore.
Right.
Like if you come into it to start messing with it 10 years later, it's like you're not editing that. You're making a new thing now.
Yeah, it's a new thing.
Yeah.
So at some point you have to kind of just draw the line. And that's the other weird thing too, is like, is it about amassing? I have this problem now where like, I read about like, Basquiat, who just produced an incredible number of works by the time he was 27. And I'm like, I gotta freaking get going to have my body of work.
Well, maybe, yeah. It really depends on what your goals are, yeah.
I don't, but is that what it's, or like, you have paintings under paintings under paintings.
Yeah.
And
yeah, where do you fall on that? Where's your current thoughts or
I'm kind of
feelings on that?
So I want to talk about this idea of palimpsest, which is a word that one of my coworkers brought to light for me that I didn't realize has always been an obsession for me since I started drawing buildings in architecture school. And palimpsest, if I'm getting it right, comes from this idea of cave paintings, or cave engravings and drawings, or cuneiform writing or something. Back in ancient times, when they would engrave expressive or communicative messages in stone, and whether it be from erosion or them trying to deface the surface, eventually whatever communication was there would be destroyed, and destroyed in a way where it's like only destroyed 80%.
Yeah.
And then they would go over again with a new message, and then that would get destroyed, and then a new message. And so what you have is like these layers of suggestions of previous messages, but ones that don't totally convey what that message was. It's just like, oh, something was here, and you can't totally tell what it was, but there's evidence.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of obsessed with that, whether it be drawing or, architecture school is like you draw all these like construction lines for how to do a building, and like you don't erase them. You just kind of leave them because they add to the character of how you came to the final drawing, the final image. And so with painting too, it's like there needs, for me, for whatever reason, like I cannot paint an entire image in one flat surface. There has to be some buildup of these like there's got to be remnants of past engravings or things sticking out of the canvas that I'm going over and dealing with. And so in that way, like sometimes I get kind of like attached when I feel like I'm close to finishing a painting, or like there's so many moments in this layering process where I become attached, and I'm like, oh, I love this image right here. But at the same time, I haven't gone through enough. I haven't experienced enough with this physical thing to consider it to be done. And so I have to go over it more or less in some way.
Is it that you feel from like the artist standpoint that you haven't gone through enough, or is it, or maybe it's both, that the painting doesn't have enough texture or remnants on it? That
too. Like like I feel like it hasn't been right from an outsider perspective. Like, oh, this person didn't work hard enough to arrive at this thing. It's not a deserved image.
Is it the deserved thing, or is it an aesthetic kind of judgment?
I think that it probably comes from my taste, where my taste is from a point of, and maybe that's not true, because I like some Barnett Newman paintings that are pretty flat, or even Mondrian's work is not worked over. This is like this worked over idea also comes from Willem de Kooning.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it's a little bit of like, no, it's not a cop-out. What it is like, I call them triggers. Because when you're building up a canvas with all these layers of paint, what you're and other detritus that I'm picking up from the floor in my studio is I'm introducing these like objects on the canvas that are protruding out and getting in the way of my brush and are like in a way fighting back and fighting me as I try to create. It's like I'll have this big chunk of like dried paint or like eraser shavings or something in the canvas, and then I'll be having a crayon in my hand trying to draw a straight line, and now I can't draw a straight line because it ricochets off this protrusion, and that's exciting to me, I think, because it's like it comes back to this idea of like being surprised by the thing that I'm making. Is like I couldn't have intended to experience that ricochet off the detritus. So that is more likely to happen as I get further along and there's more and more layers. Right. I'm more likely to interact with like a thing that I could not have intended to do.
Right. I just was I noticed this earlier too, but this reminds me. This is like perfect. I looked at this moment because this reminds me of Gerhard Richter.
Yes.
Kind of stuff.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Like it's like, I mean, one of the things.
That's one of the, yes.
He talked about in that is a documentary I watched of his. I think I probably sent it to you.
I gotta watch that.
He was talking about his process for like finishing things or whatever. Just his process of working is like, you know, he would do something on the canvas, right, and then he would put the paint on the squeegee and go across. And he talked about how like he enjoyed, or it was like a thrill or interesting part of the process was like not knowing exactly what was going to happen, like having some rough sense. It's like there's going to be more blue on here now, right? But like I don't know like in what patterns or like how much blue or where is it going to hang itself more than other places. And that this kind of stuff is very, very much like that kind of like surprise element.
That's exactly right. Gerhard Richter and Rothko is the other one who's dealing with, it's like, I think it's honestly a very architectural thing where it's a consequence of working inside a grid where you have these alignments, and maybe in Gerhard Richter's work, it's the actual like long squeegee thing. Like when he's pulling the paint across, he's pulling it all in one long line, and maybe that line, you have these like guidelines that are creating these like really, really thin moments where you have this just like explosion of energy of overlapping of all these different colors. It's like this one literally half a centimeter by half a centimeter where there's so much interaction and energy. And Rothko, the way that he just like bleeds out and brushes out like the edges of the rectangles. It's not about the center of the rectangles. It's about the edges where he creates that humming vibration
for sure.
of intensity, because there's just like this. I mean, I don't even know how many layers he did in his paintings.
I know. I don't think a lot of people know. I think it's still up for debate. I think it's still up for debate too, because he was very secret about his process too. Yeah. So I think it's still. I mean, it's been a while now. There might be more research on it, but yeah, it's like I don't know, many layers. It's apparent. And you know what's funny is even in the middle of some of, I haven't seen Rothko's in forever, and the ones I saw, to be honest, I wasn't a huge fan of. But I did notice, even like all throughout it, even like in the center, there was like this impossible kind of like vibration of like a green and an orange. It's like, how do you even do this? Yeah. I have no idea. Like, how can I see both of these colors? Right. It doesn't make any sense.
No, it's sick.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is a consequence of, oh my God, I never thought about Rothko being similar to de Kooning. Okay. And now they're seeming to be more similar than ever. Where it's just that, like, I don't know if obsessive is the right word, but just like overworking, over layering of paint to get to this final. And you know what? And the reason why I said cop out earlier is because I think like it doesn't take much skill to just add another layer of paint and add another layer of paint and add another, like all those little like the little explosions I was talking about that are consequences. They're just consequences of continuing to work on the same surface.
Right. It's like you do something enough, you'll get accidents of goodness.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So,
Right.
and if you curate it in a way where you have this like grid that's going to offer these opportunities of like insane alignments, like right now, I'm staying pretty tight to the grid, and you're starting to see like the buildup of the drips are going to get like really thick and heavy in the
For
same
sure.
spot
Yeah.
because I'm going over it and I don't know what's going to happen,
Yeah.
but I think something is going to happen, something dramatic, if I just keep going and going and going and going over the same surface.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's a Rothko thing, it's a Richter thing, and I think it's easy, right? You just keep doing it.
You
just
just add
stay
more,
with the
yeah.
same surface. So I call it calculated accidents. And this is coming back to the idea of like, I don't even think I'm creative. Like I'm not like an intuitive, creative person. I'm a left-brained, mathematical, calculating, logistical person.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to trick the viewers into thinking I'm some like, creative, intuitive artist.
Uh-huh.
And I just can't get to that point.
Huh. So I can't imagine that someone who would go to architecture school. I mean, I guess I could imagine, but yeah, that you don't think that you're creative. I don't know. I mean, you certainly seem to do things that are creative things.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if there's a good. Maybe there is. I'm trying to think. Is there a good way of measuring creativity? I mean, one that I've heard floated is basically this idea of like measuring someone's output. It's like, have you created a lot of things?
Yeah, it's been a lot of things. What about the video you sent me the other day about like novelty, or about making something new or original?
The one I sent on Instagram, right?
Yeah. I've been thinking about that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think it's in the forefront of my thoughts.
Creating something new.
Right. I think what I'm trying to do. No. What I am is like I have these artists that I admire.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to make something, and just to list Hester Van Daperen, Philip Guston, Mark Rothko, Jackson Pollock, all the big, abstract expressionists. I'm trying to make something as good as the things that I've seen that have moved me emotionally. But at the same time, I'm trying to make something that I've never seen before, that no one has ever done before. I'm not interested in making anything that I've already. So many people, dude, I literally just saw this account on Instagram today of like some guy who's just like totally ripping off of George Condo. And I'm like, what is even the point of that? Like you can just look at one of his paintings.
I know, yeah.
Is it just to be successful? Like that shouldn't having an art practice is a stupid avenue if all you care about is trying to be like successcul. Like that's like really dumb.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty low success rate.
You should do something else if all you care about is success.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, to me, one of my favorite things about art, I mean, maybe the thing that art is or should aspire to be, is something that inspires you in some way. And when I see something that's like a copy of Pollock or something like that's a Pollock ripoff, it like disgusts me.
I totally agree.
It's like the opposite of inspiration.
It is, because
it's just like, yeah, somebody's done this before. You have seen that it's successful, and you're just trying to like parrot this thing. It's like I've already been inspired by his like. I mean, I should give credit to other people who did drip painting before, but his like revolution, at least in the sense of bringing it to the forefront.
Were there other drip painters?
Yeah. I wish I could remember who they were.
Okay, so this is an amazing thing that is part of my drive and where my drive to paint. I talked at the beginning earlier about the nature of the properties of materials and how paint has this nature of how it wants to be used. The artists that I admire the most are the ones that have taken a specific property of paint and celebrated it by creating an image that is the purest possible image to convey this specific property that is exclusive to paint. And that's exactly what Jackson Pollock did with the drip. Is, yeah, other people created paintings with drips, but he found the exact image that pushes the quality of the drip to its maximum expressive potential.
Oh, he explored it hardcore.
That's the limit of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't think of a better way to celebrate the nature of the capability of paint to drip than a Jackson Pollock painting.
Yeah.
And so that's like, that lane is over as far, I mean, up into this point, like that lane is cut off.
Yeah, no, it seems like he explored it so thoroughly that like it's mapped. Like
Right.
there's
It's mapped.
Right, yeah.
Rothko's the same with staining. How thin can you make the paint?
Yeah, and the layering.
How many
techniques
thin
and
layers
stuff.
can you put? And just the simple rectangles. He boiled it down to the purest image that expresses the quality, like the maximum potential to celebrate that paint can be thin. And this is the image that celebrates this quality of the material.
Yeah,
This
interesting.
thinness, this layer, the vibration of the Rothkos. And so I'm left thinking like, okay, what is another property of paint, another method of applying paint to a surface that I can study and push to its absolute expressive potential so that I can take my own lane. Rothko cut off his lane, Pollock cut off his lane. There's got to be more lanes. There's more left to discover with paint.
I wonder if there is though, kind of. You know,
There's
like,
got to be. I mean, the one that I'm trying to do is the brush stroke, and something about the nature of swiping. And the reason why I chose that is because I think of it in terms of architecture as being the brick.
Yeah.
If you're building if you're building a painting, you're building it with brush strokes. And so that is my building block. And how can I make an entire building that is celebrating the single unit that it is made from? That's another lane. Louis Kahn, or Louis I. Kahn, however you want to pronounce it, is an architect who, in the same way that Pollock pushed the drip and Rothko pushed staining, Kahn pushed the nature of the brick to its maximum expressive potential with, I can't pronounce it, but it's his building in India that he did. And it'll blow you away. The circles and the arches and the thresholds that he creates all within the nature of brick. I got to go there. It's just like, that's the limit. I'm sorry, I cut you off. What were we going to say?
No, I'm trying to remember what I was going to say. Oh yeah, no, like I wonder if there is much more to explore in the materials, in the material of paint, you know, because I mean, that was, you know, in the 50s, 60s, 70s, you know.
You might have to get paint adjacent.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's like, I wonder if like since then people have kind of...
I'll name drop someone. One of my favorite artists right now is, I think her name is pronounced Emily Krauss.
Oh, yeah, why do I know her? You might have shared her with me.
I sent her work. I think she's like one of the best right now. And Emily Krauss has this where she built or invented her own machine.
Oh yes, the looping thing.
Yes.
Yeah, this was sick. I was a huge fan of a lot of that stuff. Yes.
Yeah. And so maybe it's like,
true.
And so I think I'm trying to use like my body as a machine, where like my paintings right now, it's like I have one very strict movement. I dunk my brush in the paint, and then I swipe it on the canvas, and then I dunk it again. And so I'm kind of becoming a machine or a robot and trying to like limit what I'm doing as much as possible to try to like narrow down the lane that I'm trying to push to the finish line.
Yeah.
But I don't think Rothko was, I don't know. I don't think Pollock was like even concerned with, like, he was doing a lot of other stuff that was not really drippy. You know, it's like all of a sudden he just kind of like it wasn't like he was like investigating the drips for a long time.
Well, I mean, I remember that his drip paintings was literally like 3 years of his career. Like, I
Right,
think, I think
right.
a lot of people think that it was like
No.
that was his thing.
No, yeah.
And like he did a lot of stuff before. I mean, he had a long career.
So
You know,
much
he died
stuff.
relatively young,
Yeah.
but he had a long career before that. Yeah. What was I just thinking about? I was thinking about, yeah, maybe like, you know, you mentioned Emily Krauss and her kind of rollers system. I wonder if, like, my intuition is that you might have to create something like that, something that's more. Something that's outside of the circle of like what your what you and your body and simple tools can do in order to discover something new. Like my intuition is just that, you know, abstraction, like, and I guess more so the focus on materials. I mean, you know, for most of art history, the focus on materials was not the focus. It was like depicting something,
Right.
you know, representational, right? So that's like fairly new, but I feel like it's not so new that people haven't already explored what can you do with your hands and a brush and paint, you know, and some turpentine maybe, and, you know, stir sticks. Or whatever.
That's when you have people like Robert Irwin is a great example of an artist who, like, you know, there's this kind of notion or tendency for an artist to think that art is paint on a canvas hung on a wall. And if you're in touch with your affinities and your process, then eventually you can maybe understand that, like, maybe it's time I break away from that and I start getting into the three-dimensional, or I get into, like, you know, the sculptural, physical, or the room architecture. Robert Irwin started with paintings and just said, I don't care about that. I care about the whole room, or I care about the space. Or I was just learning about the yearbook committee just posted another video of did you watch that one about like the land works of this whole movement? I think in like the 60s or the 70s, where they were like, screw the gallery, we're just gonna go make something out in nature and make an experience for you to go to. Like,
which I love. It's a movement that I might have known about a little bit, but one that I'm much more interested in now after watching it. It's very cool. I love that kind of stuff.
That's your golden retriever artist.
Thing. Yeah,
it's like you gotta,
my
like,
woman in the red dress thing. I'm gonna get distracted by.
I think I've kind of set this limit for myself of like, I've stuck with that definition of like, artwork is paint on a canvas hung on a wall.
Yeah.
That's like a limit.
And that's just to keep yourself able to keep pursuing and achieve depth on that in order to find something new.
I think it's just to not get distracted.
Yeah.
But also,
but
I mean,
what is that
like,
serving, I guess? Like, is what I'm asking, I guess.
What is that serving?
Yeah, like to not get distracted. It seems like it would be to achieve a kind of depth or expertise or something. Right?
It's the race to the finish line of like commanding a lane. You know, like I was saying with Pollock and Rothko, it's like if I'm going to cut off another lane of painting,
you got to get there before someone else.
I need to kind of start to figure out where the boundaries are and start to like narrow that lane.
Yeah, I got you.
And of course I could be wrong, but one of the ways I've narrowed it is canvas hung on a wall with paint on it, and basically just paint. You know, no other. I was doing stuff with newspapers.